All right, so here we're looking at the last example number 2 for Math 7 2-4 mixed operations. So here we're going to look at the difference that those parentheses make. In our first example, we started with the multiplication first. Let's see how that changes in this example. So looking back in my order of operations, I'm starting with G, any groupings. And here I do have groupings to start with. So whereas in my first example, I started with that multiplication, over here in my second example, I'm actually starting with what's inside the grouping with that addition. So going back to my fraction rules, I know that in order to add and subtract fractions, I need to have common denominators. I do not have common denominators, so I need to get that. So 4 and 5, I'm just going to multiply them by each other to get 20. So I'm multiplying this first one by, not 4, oops. Multiplying this first fraction by 5, my second fraction by 4. Leaving me with negative 5/20 plus 8/20. And again, I'm just going to carry down that parentheses negative 10 over 9 because I haven't done anything with it and I don't want to forget that it's there. So now that I did that first thing, I took care of fraction rules. That was my first step, getting those common denominators. Now I'm looking at integer rules again. I'm adding integers that have different signs. I have a negative 5 plus 8. If I were to do a little bubble for that, I'd have 5 negatives and 8 plus signs. My rules tell me with different signs that I subtract and keep the sign of the larger. 8 minus 5 is 3, and I have more positives than I do negatives, leaving me with a positive 320 as an answer, 3/20. And again, just carrying down that negative 10/9. Okay, so now I'm back to doing some fraction rules because I'm moving on to the second operation I have here. So I'm back to fraction rules. I have multiplication going on. So with multiplying, I'm checking for that cross canceling to make my life a little bit easier. Less smaller numbers, better. Looking diagonally from top to bottom, from left to right, I can cancel the 3 and the 9 together. Both of those pieces are divisible by 3. Leaving me with 1 over something and 3 over something. Because I could also cancel those other two. 10 and 20 are definitely both divisible by 10, which is going to make things really nice for me. On the top, though, careful because that's negative 10 divided by 10, which is going to remain a negative 1. And 20 divided by 10 is a positive 2. So now, last but not least, I am looking at just some multiplication here. Tops by tops, bottoms by bottoms. I don't need the parentheses anymore. 1 times negative 1, remember I have a positive being multiplied by a negative here, is definitely going to give me a negative. So 1 times negative 1 is that negative 1 I was looking for, and 2 times 3 is 6. So there you go. In our first example, we ended up with negative 25 over 36s, whereas in our second example, we ended up with negative 1/6. So those parentheses make a big difference. Make sure when you're looking at your practice problems that you are watching out for those order of operations.